What a difference a week makes, people. Here we are.
Why are we here?
Why are we here? We had to deal with
What's
this.
the point of anything?
What's the point of living?
What's the point of this podcast? What's the point of sports?
You know, I like to think it's the ups and downs, the emotional roller coaster that makes it worth doing. But
no.
I mean, if you won every single game, I guess, would that get old? Probably not, right?
No.
Probably not.
No, definitely would not.
No, I'd enjoy it.
Lord. Oh, my Lord. I guess, like, we've done this at times on the City Pigeons Podcast. Welcome to the City Pigeons Podcast. By the way, I got to mention, we are here at Billy Murphy's Irish Saloon in East Falls.
Hell
Can we
yes.
get a round of applause?
It's
Murph.
a nice spot. It's
Murph.
a nice
Murph.
northeast.
Thank you. He came through
It's
clutch.
a very familiar spot
Hey.
to Jesse and I.
Yeah.
We've spent many of sober nights in this place.
It's sober nights. Yeah, we've had a lot of great sports moments in this
A
place.
lot.
so-
This is where we spent the majority of the 2008 Phillies
That's
championship
right.
run.
You know what? My number one memory here, we did come back here after the Phillies won the World Series, but it was the Cliff Lee Yankees game where he caught the ball, all nonchalant. We were over there watching that. That was like, remember the Cliff Lee Yankees game, World Series? I mean, come on. That was the good
My
stuff.
best memory from that
I'm
time
pretty sure
was
everybody remembers that.
I was here one night and I ran up a $100 bar tab pretty much on my own and just walked out on it.
Nice.
Yeah, that's the thing I remember the most
Well,
about that.
And they let you back in here?
Yeah, this is like a cash-only establishment, so they don't take
Yeah.
cards. I just came back the next day. Mike's like, "Yo, you got like a $100 bar tab you just walked out on last night." So.
Yeah, and speaking of cash only, we made the smart idea of setting up directly right
front
next
of
to the
the
ATM. So as people walk through the frame,
So when
if you're
people
paying
come
attention,
to get cash, we're not going to stop filming. We're just going to let them roll
Yeah,
right
we're just
through.
gonna
Gives it a
roll.
real
and then
feel
we're gonna
and
jump
dynamic.
back, and then we're gonna jump them.
but back to the subject at hand.
Yeah, listen, we never got your full report from out in Arizona. How? I
Right.
mean,
Okay.
aside from the soul-crushing loss,
Right.
how was it?
So, I did want to talk a lot about what, for everybody, like the lead up, right? Because we all know what happened. By now, you've heard everybody's opinion. I'm one of these people, like, after it happens, I don't want to talk to anybody. I'm starting to get over that now. But I did want to talk about everything that led up to it because there were some really special moments, I think, for everybody. And I definitely want to hear what you guys were up to. Last time we checked in, if you guys were paying attention, I was at an Eagles bar in Phoenix, and
Drunk as
let's
shit.
be honest, I got a little carried away.
Yeah, you were
I
a
got
little drunk.
I'm gonna be honest, my mom loved it, Jesse. She
As long as Patty loved it,
she
I
was
mean,
like, she texted me. She was like, Jesse was having fun.
look,
Like, she loved it.
I mean, the reality situation is a little backstory on that. Me and Goodhart were hanging out, and like up to that point, I had not really like made it to the Eagles people. You know what I mean? So like I was feeling the Super Bowl, but like the day before, I saw like all the people from the different
Listen,
teams.
you don't have to explain yourself.
No,
It's-
I do.
it's
I
the
do.
situation.
Because no, seriously, I thought I was going to like this, like some sort of. I don't want to say like high-end fundraiser at all. It's Barcan's fundraiser, but it was literally upstairs at the Eagles bar. And I get there and I'm like, whoa, this is an open bar situation. For some reason, I was choosing Red Bull and vodka. That doesn't make any sense. I was very fired up by the scenario that was going on. We got carried away.
That'll get the heart palpitating.
Yeah, let's just say we were in bed by like 9:30
I think Joe
Mountain
Paterno
Time.
just walked in there from the
9:30.
grave.
Joe Paterno
This guy
definitely
just
did
looks
not
like
look-
fucking Joe Paterno from the grave.
Raj locked into the discussion. But yeah, that was epic. Seeing everybody out there, everybody was all excited. And then, Saturday, we ended up going out to the Phoenix Open. I was really lucky that a friend of mine is a developer out there. He had a box right behind the tee, which was like crazy. And earlier that morning at the hotel, I also was mooching off friends that were staying in a really nice hotel. I walked out of my hotel room. Me and my buddy Ace were walking down. Guy walks right past us. I go like this. I go, yo. Bryce Harper walks right in front of me. You know. What
So
I'm saying?
wait, Ace was staying at the same hotel as Bryce Harper was.
That's right. Well, yeah. Okay, it's a long story, but
Nice.
yeah, we were staying at the same hotel as Bryce Harper. He walks by. We're like, yo, holy shit. So then later we're at the golf tournament, hanging out, and by now I would expect a lot of you guys have probably seen the video that surfaced on the internet of
Yeah, it was
Bryce
pretty
Harper.
big, man.
Bryce Harper doing the Eagles chant. So, and by this point, I think that's up to about 450,000 views, which is crazy.
Wait, what?
Yeah, it just went wild. So literally what happens is I'm sitting there at the tee box, we're watching the golfers come through, and we see that it's him and Juan Soto, man, like in the front row of the upper level right behind us. And I'm like sitting there trying to do like the reverse camera picture, not be corny enough, not working at all. So then we do like everyone's like, yeah, we should do an Eagles chant. So we do an Eagles chant, and he's like all into it. Honestly, the truth is the first one was the best because it was fully organic, and he was like, yeah. And I'm like, did anybody get that on video? And it's like, no, we didn't get it on video. It's like, we got to get this.
So you made him do it again.
Well, here's what we did. Here's what we did.
Bryce,
No.
remember you just did do it again.
So I
man.
think I like to think I was intelligent about it. We didn't say like, "Hey, Mr. Bryce,
Yeah,
can you do
yeah.
it again?" I turned to my buddy's kid who was there. Right, he's like 13 years old. I'm like, "This is the only way this is gonna work. You got to turn around, look him right in the eye, and start the Eagles chant, right?" Because I knew that would work. He does it. We film it. The rest is history, and it's out there. And what a cool moment for Bryce.
That was really
Bryce
cool,
was
man.
in the house all weekend wearing Eagles stuff. I saw he gave somebody a shoe in the airport.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I saw that.
That's
That's
the
just
coolest
like
shit
a
ever.
like
Although
a
it was an Under Armour shoe, so was it really that special?
That's a hilarious.
kidding.
Meech, we know you. We know
Might
you
have been a Curry.
feelings.
Might have been a
Like
Curry
if somebody
shoe.
handed me a random Under Armour.
What if Bryce Harper
athletic
handed
trainer
you it?
shoe? I'd be like,
Just
give
thanks,
just
dude.
give the shoe back to him.
You
Can I
give
just
it
have
to
your
him?
autograph instead?
Yeah.
I'll find a pen, my man.
But that moment was, one representation of how awesome everything leading up to the game was, and the trip as a whole. If we had won the game, would have been obviously the best trip you could ever go on in your life. But it's just that moment that it didn't ruin anything. Like, I mean, obviously.
What do you mean it didn't ruin anything?
Well, I mean,
It
like
ruined
the
whole
trip was
fucking
great.
Trip.
The trip was great. Like, it's not going to change the trip. And we were, we had a great day getting ready for the game. When we were in the game, that's the other thing I was super impressed by. Like, getting into the stadium wasn't that hard. Going to the bathroom at the Super Bowl was easier than going to the bathroom at the Eagles game.
crazy.
I swear to God, you could get beer pretty easy. It was kind of shocking, man. So,
Well, you probably got a lot of classy folks out at the Super Bowl, I'd imagine. Not like, shotgunning beers in the parking lot, so their bladders aren't as full. The crowds are a little lower at the bathrooms
All right,
than
so
at your normal spot.
Speaking of classy, I got a good little anecdote that I thought you guys would like, because I was sitting on the Chiefs sideline, like in the towards the end zone that was painted Chiefs, right? And I was surprised. Before the game, I was like, this is going to be nothing but Eagles fans. When I got in there, I was like, damn, there's a lot of Chiefs fans. Now, granted, I was in their section. I think up in the third and fourth level was like mostly Eagles fans. Yeah. But I was surprised how many Chief fans there were. But there was a Chief fan right behind me, and they start doing their, which is so lame that like however many teams do that, And I may have said something about how it was racist or whatever. And I don't hear what he said specifically, but he definitely used the word libtard. He definitely said.
Wait, who said this?
The guy behind me. He definitely called me and the Eagles fans libtards, which I just thought that's just a great
I guess
word.
you probably get a lot of that out in the Midwest.
Yeah.
you know
I
what
mean, this guy was just like, looking at me like a
Yeah.
psycho zombie libtard, So that was a really funny
Did he have
interaction.
a beard or a goatee or something of the sort?
You
I
know,
bet he
he
probably
looked like
did.
a basic ass dude. You know what I mean? Not even like
Yeah.
that.
But for the most part, Chiefs fans are harmless, right? Like
Yeah,
they're-
there was
they
not.
Seem, they seem kind of nice, which it's so
yeah.
infuriating.
takes the fun
I
out of
guess.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like
Disarming.
Yeah.
the cool thing
them.
about being in the building for something like that is just there's an electricity to the moment that you can
Oh, yeah,
just
of
feel.
course.
You know what I mean? And everything is just so crazy. You know what I mean? Every play is crazy, and obviously you had a game that was for the most part just crazy.
Now let me ask you: you were there. You didn't get to see, the calls, the replays. You were
Yeah.
just pretty much into it. Do you rewatch the game afterwards, or is it so painful that you're just like, I don't even give a shit?
Yeah. Okay. So, nowadays more than ever before. Obviously, there's a huge difference between going to the game and watching on TV, right? Like you just, and especially in that stadium, that
Yeah,
atmosphere.
make sure Dan doesn't lock himself in the bathroom.
Yeah. Be careful. We've had a couple people get locked in the bathroom, so you got to be careful for that. No, like you don't see any of that stuff. Like my son was asking me questions. I was like, I don't know. He's like, did you think that was a catch? And I was like, I actually haven't seen it yet. You know what I mean? And I did go
Let me
back.
text one of my friends who's watching on TV.
I do that a lot. Like,
Yeah, he
these
does
guys,
that,
I
yeah.
do that a lot. I'm like, yo, what's going on here? But for the NFC Championship game and the divisional game, like I did go back and watch those games to see. But this one, I was like, obviously, I don't really want to see it. But I was on the plane and I put on the NFL Network because I knew it would be on, and I started to watch it, and I just kind of like I couldn't commit. And it's funny, as we get into talking about the game, naturally, one of the things that struck me about this is that like it's almost it's I don't say there's mixed emotions, but like I'm obviously proud of the way that they played and like how certain people played in that game. And like as a Philadelphian and Eagles fan, you're like, happy that your team battled and you're proud of what like Jalen did and all that. And as you watch the game, you start to like see that and you're like, oh man, we really balled. And then you just start to get mad because you're like,
Yeah.
we played our asses off we should have won that game. So it's a very mixed emotion experience.
Had
How
a
did you
10-point
feel-
lead at halftime?
Yeah, how did you
There's
feel?
no
like at
mixed
halftime?
emotions for me. It's all anger. There's
I'm-
nothing
I'm
mixed with
pissed
anger.
off.
It's just anger and then more anger on top of that.
Anger.
Maybe a little bit of depression. Maybe that's the mixed emotion. Anger and depression.
Right.
Those
So
are my mixed
I
emotions.
felt a little bit of
Sad
guilt.
boy.
Guilt?
Actually, yeah, I felt a little bit of guilt. Like,
Wow, I didn't see that coming.
so at halftime, I don't know. I sent a text out to the chain. I was like,
not the mush.
yeah, I was like, up 10. Dude's got a bum ankle. It's fucking over. And I sent the meme of Finn's Carter doing it. It's over after the dunk contest.
Oh, I remember seeing that.
And then as soon as they lost, I was like, I lost that
You mushed
game
it.
for the Eagles. I feel like I mushed them.
Listen,
I know
you didn't lose.
I know I didn't mush them, but that's how I felt.
Yeah, the Eagles lost the game because
Yeah.
they could, and it really isn't fair with the field conditions, and I don't like making excuses, but it was honestly ridiculous when you look back at the replays and just see the defensive ends just falling down to the ground as soon
Yeah.
as they try and plant their foot and make a cut.
Right.
But-
And by the way, that's a perfect example. I'm watching the game. My wife texts me. She's like, "What's wrong with the field?"
Right? Yeah, you
I'm
don't
like,
know.
"I have no idea. What are you
Yeah.
talking about?" But like, I know they were talking about it. I don't know if she saw.
They
that,
were definitely talking about it
but
all throughout
apparently,
the
you
game.
could see
So
it.
wait, I was confused, right? So this is like some new state-of-the-art stadium, right? Like they can take the field and put the entire thing outside and then bring it back in and
Right.
let it get some sun. How the fuck did that happen? Like
The goddamn sod father. He
The
rigged
sod
it.
father?
Who's the sod father?
He's a
He's
Chiefs
he's a
fan.
94-year-old landscaper from Kansas City. He's a Chiefs fan his whole
Season
life.
ticket holder.
And he's
Season ticket holder.
He's done the grass for every Super Bowl so far. I guess he's
Okay, well that cuts. the
preserve-
other
And
way.
the
grass
Chiefs and the Royals.
yeah. So now listen, the Chiefs didn't have to change their cleats. I'm not like a conspiracy theorist, but he definitely he's going out. He's on his way out. He's 94 years old. He don't give a shit if he gets caught. He gives Andy Reid a little wink. He's like, "Yo,
Sod father
wear
mailed it
them
in.
extra long metal cleats, bro." Like, just this
Yeah.
grass ain't right. The Eagles had to change their cleats twice. Like, you don't see that there, but it's mentioned on TV.
Somebody's got to
work-
be investigating
I'm
this.
the
confused though.
work
Did they
of this-
play? Did the Cardinals play on that field all year?
No, this was a different
No,
type of
it's-
grass.
So
right,
they
or
just
something?
replaced it for the Super
For
Bowl.
the
Like
Super Bowl.
that makes no fucking sense to me, man. But anyway, so they were probably like, you're saying the sod father was like, how can we neutralize this vicious
No, how
Eagles
can we
pass
just?
rush?
Yeah, it's the best pass rush in NFL history, most sacks ever. How can we completely take them out of the game? I know. We'll make the grass unplayable.
There you go.
There you
Well, and if to your point, I'm very interested to hear if anybody knows if the Chiefs players were changing cleats
No,
at all.
no, they
No,
didn't.
not
Right,
really.
So
go because they were.
You could
tipped
see it on
off
TV.
before.
They had like they had a shot of like
So-
all the Eagles fucking cleats
have
that
you guys
were
ever? I
changed.
know you've never done this, but any of you guys ever listened to like any of these crime podcasts before?
Nah.
Okay.
Yes.
So there's have you, Fink?
Yeah.
You have.
I love
Okay. Yeah.
big
So,
little true crime
so
guy.
but what's
Fink's like, I'm a star of one of those.
so no. What's interesting is
Is this a crime?
this is not a true crime podcast.
It's about to
No,
be
but
right off.
what there is there's these people who have become like private investigators without actually being investigators or cops that just like start digging stuff up when it comes to these crimes, and
Yeah.
they make like podcasts about it, and they go talk to people in the towns. We need somebody to do that about this. Like somebody needs to get, because the NFL is not going to do it. Like they're not going to come out and say, I wish they would come out and say,
of
this
course
was
they're
an
not. Did you see
embarrassment.
Roger Goodell hugging Pat Mahomes after the game like they're
Yeah,
best
and
fucking
all
friends?
those guys.
Jesse, are you asking
That
me
was
to kill the
I don't
sod
think that was
father?
Mahomes. But
I'm asking you to take the sod
Listen,
father
Because I'll
out.
do it.
Listen, you don't do anything to kill the sodfather. Nature will do that very soon. Okay.
I hope he chokes on some fucking side.
Just know that his legacy
said
has been
I-
ruined.
I
All
said he-
his
I-
years worth of good work is all
Yeah,
it's all
good.
ruined.
For those who don't know, I don't know
Well,
if you can
he's a
see it.
legend in KC. I mean, if he was a Philly guy and did that, he'd be a legend here.
Oh, yeah.
I don't like him.
I'd build him a statue.
Oh yeah,
I think I sent
we
out
would
a-
love
a-
the sod
I
father.
think I sent out a tweet earlier this week. I said I hope he doesn't see those little lawn flags and chokes on harmful pesticides.
Hey, speaking of Meech's angry tweets, Fink, can
Yeah,
you?
I've had a few of those this week.
Meech, yeah, you went off, and
I'm
rightfully
surprised
so.
I didn't get
But-
kicked off of Twitter this week. But they weren't directed at anyone.
No.
Like,
Death
it was
threats,
just
nothing
broad-
like-
Well, it was
broad
indirect,
anger.
so I'm
Remember
sitting-
didn't you send a death threat to like a kid that one time when you got suspended or
It
something
wasn't
like
a
that?
death threat.
Let's
It
not
was
get
more-
into Meech's
it was
Twitter
more like
history.
just
I think
told
it's a
him to
bad
go
idea.
Fuck himself.
right.
But anyway, I'm sitting in the airport, and ready to come home, and I see this tweet. Fink, can you? I think the
it's
people
up.
can see it. I can't read it over here.
It's,
Can you read it to me?
It says, I think if I flew out to Arizona to go to that game, I'd be hoping my plane crashes on the way home.
Which,
That's
I
such a fun
understand
thing
that.
to read if you're at the
Yeah,
like,
I
I wasn't
understand the
thinking of my buddy
sentiment.
Jesse when I said,
You know what I thought? I was
it's
like, what if my plane
tweet.
did crash? You know what I mean?
That's a
would
genuine
feel
feeling, though. That's
guilty.
how he felt at the moment, so he put it
I
out
feel
there.
as guilty
hear
as
you.
Rock did for sending that "it's over" text at
Yeah.
halftime.
And then I also felt guilty, real quick. I also felt guilty about when we were sitting there, Fink's podcasting, and you were out there in Arizona drunk as a skunk. The one thing I said I was kind of worried about was that Mahomes was the most well-protected quarterback in the NFL, and the Eagles ended up having no sacks, and I felt guilty about saying
You know what?
that.
I'm starting
I
to
felt
think,
a
I'm
lot
starting
of
to think it
guilt,
is
man.
Rock's fault.
It might have been my fault. Sorry, guys.
Can I say this? Like, when I went back, the parts of the game that I did go back and watch, like, you got to give them some credit. Like, their line, Pacheco, like, they played a violent game as well.
Did you see that Newt Rockney ass play they did in the
No, yeah, you were
second
talking about
half?
this earlier.
They ran this play that I think the guy talking about it said it was last ran 30 years ago in like the Joe Montana Niners versus the Marino Dolphins. The two running backs, well, the one was a fullback, and they were in split backs in the backfield in a 3-point stance. Like, this doesn't happen anymore. They were toying with the Eagles. Like, this is what really bothers me about this game. Not so much they lost. If they lost to somebody like a regular team, a regular coach, I think I would be able to compartmentalize the loss and say, hey, listen, they played their asses off. They were just outplayed at the end. I'd be able to do that. But with Andy Reid, man, like, I just can't get over it. He ruined so many seasons for us with poor coaching, with poor
Ruined another one.
decisions. And he just ruined, yeah, exactly. He ruined, like, so I guess it's his MO. He just ruins our football seasons all the time. But that he did it is what bothers me the most, because he schooled Gannon. He outsmarted him. It was like they toyed with us. Did you see? I think it was 400 and some games the Eagles have played. The last 400 games. This is their 398th worst defensive game out of their last 400.
Are you serious?
Something like
yeah,
that.
like it's just those second down plays at the goal line where he did the motion that set up the play where they were
Right.
wide open twice.
Did it twice. Yeah.
Like, it's embarrassing, man. And Doug Peterson did
the
that
same
against
thing,
us.
yeah.
Like, so you figure it out then. Like, you got to fix
Yeah.
that, man. Like, it's really.
And you know they had some little side conversation going on.
And
Like,
that
yo,
they
just run that play.
that
It'll
they
fucking work.
figured it out and
Well-
exposed us is what bothers me the most.
And it's kind of funny, right? Like, they hired Doug to kind of get back to, like, the comfort of the Andy Reid tree, and then they got rid of Doug, even though he won the Super Bowl. They bring in Nick. And you know, Doug and Andy are like, we'll show this young
we'll
little prick. And they must have been like,
They definitely had a little,
double fist pump there,
See,
you know?
I have no issues with Sirianni that game. I really don't. I don't even have issues with the defense. Sometimes you got to give it up to Mahomes, and the field conditions were shit. But the overall game plan was horrific. I mean, it was just. And then my least favorite play of the game, besides the punt return, that was horrible, like really bad. I mean, I
Heartbreaker.
keep thinking about that, but I keep going back to the Zach Pascal holding.
Drop. Oh.
Do you remember that in the first quarter? They got a first down, and he broke off of the line early and held the D back. And like, Zach Pascal's only job in the NFL is to block, and like, he's got to know that you can't go out and block him early. And that ruined the first down. They had the punt, and Casey went right back down and scored. We could have went up 14-0 early. It was just like.
There was a lot of plays in that.
There was a
game,
lot of
man,
plays,
that
but-
like you went back. It was the whole thing in general, man. They played a good game, but
I never
they
want
beat
to
themselves
watch
at
the
the end
game
of that
again.
I'll never.
And it's a
after we
shame
talk about it
because
today,
I can't
I'm
believe-
done. I'm
because-
never talk about this
because
game
Hurts,
again.
Hurts was so good in the game, man. Like,
Yeah, man.
Some of them throws, he had to throw to Goddard in like
On the
coverage.
sideline there?
Yeah, where
Yeah,
he
that
went
was
in
sick.
between two guys, and it was just really impressive what they did.
So the
but-
one thing we can take away from the game is that it's clear that Hurts is the guy, right?
Yeah,
it's
of course.
pretty
Yeah.
fucking clear, right?
He's him. He's him.
Yeah.
But I want to say one thing, because this struck me as I was thinking about the game. And you think about the last game, the Super Bowl that we won, and there wasn't a lot of defense played in that game, right? Patriots had like 600 yards. or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, yeah.
But I was thinking about it. I was like, in that game, we made I can think of 3 plays off the top of my head. Obviously the Brandon Graham strip, the Malcolm Jenkins hit on Cooks, the Rodney McLeod
Philly
suplex.
special, obviously.
I
Right.
can't think of one play.
There was no defense.
There was maybe one play where Gardner Johnson came up and nailed somebody. But
He just
there
got
wasn't
fined for that
one.
hit, too.
There wasn't one remarkable defensive play in the whole game, and that kind of sums it up,
Yeah.
right? How can you have a whole game?
That's what I said when I was texting my buddies. I said all we needed was a Brandon Graham strip sack type play at any point in that second half, and we just never came
Right.
close.
And if you got-
we didn't even toy with.
And when
with
you have
that
2
happen.
great teams like you did in that game, we forced them to make a mistake, but with Brandon Graham. In this game, we made those mistakes ourselves, and we didn't force them to make any. You thought when they missed the field goal, okay, maybe they're going to make a couple mistakes. That was it. You know what I mean? So we kind of we obviously shot ourselves in the foot, which is why I can't get too carried away about the field definitely was an issue. The holding, by the time that happened, I was just we already, have done enough to put ourselves behind the 8 ball that this isn't in and of itself, the game.
But I would have loved to have watched Jalen with the ball.
Of course.
At the end of the
We all
Just see
know.
let's see what he does.
We all would.
Even if he would have lost the game, I wouldn't
feel
have
like-
cared. I would have loved the same thing with Burrow last Super Bowl. He got that chance.
Yeah.
And he failed.
I
He
feel like-
didn't make it, but at least you got to see
The way Jalen Hurts
if
was
you're
playing-
a Cincinnati quarterback, you're like,
Yeah.
I'll be able to handle this. Cincinnati fan, you're like, I'll be able to handle this loss better if I see him at the end of the. And he did. And he
Have a
lost.
chance, yeah.
But we didn't even get to see that from Hurts, and the wrong ref made the call on that play. Did you see the?
Wait, it was opposite side of the field, ref?
It was the guy in the end zone that was looking this way and didn't even see
Get
the
the
hand
fuck
on the
out of
back.
here. I didn't know that.
That
And I-
flag didn't come out early either.
Yeah, it was a late.
It
flag.
was late.
Yeah,
The
It
way
was- it
Jalen was, yeah,
That flag didn't have to go.
it was bullshit.
Bird.
The way Jalen was playing too, it was like he was not going to let that team lose on his shoulder, right? So that's that 2-point conversion. I thought he was going to be down at the
He
2-yard
was
line or whatever.
tackled at the
He
three.
just
Oh my
fucking
God.
muscled through that. He was like, I'm not going to let my team lose this game. If he would have got that ball back, he would have at least tied the fucking score. I feel
Unbelievable.
like. You know what I mean? It's just a damn shame that game ended like that.
All right. Well, there were some interesting moments in the game, and I gotta get your opinion on one thing, because you guys know we talked about the Sirianni emotions, at various points throughout the season, and we see him bawling his eyes out during the national anthem. Now, look, I will say this in his defense right off the bat: IMA can't hold it together sometimes. National anthem, the fly over every time. I'm sorry, gets me, but I realize there are levels of crying. There are levels of crying, and I
Yeah.
usually I'm all right, but the streaming,
Yeah, that was like you remember. I think
No
it was
Sean Marino.
yeah,
That's exactly who it was.
so part of me.
that's some shit. Are you on drugs
Yeah.
to cry like that?
Yeah, so to see that right before the game, your instant reaction as a fan, you're like, oh, okay, damn, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
and then you afterwards you kind of you go one of two ways. You're like, yo, get it together, bro.
Yeah,
or you're
I
like,
don't
all
want my
right,
head coach to be that emotional before a Super Bowl starts.
okay. And so look, I've said this before.
I still like it, man. I feel like you need to have that emotion. You gotta feel like you're gonna be a part of something big.
Okay, but do you need to be able to control your emotions? Because this is my point. When you're going through these games and it's up and down and back and forth,
yeah, I hear you a little
you
bit.
can't get that emotional. And I didn't actually. By the way, can you talk to me real quick about this? There was the clip where he was trying to flip somebody off and Hurts.
and
What
He
was
wasn't
that about?
flipping them off.
What
He
was
was-
going on there?
So they were calling they challenged the play. I forget what the play was, but they challenged the play, and Casey had walked off the field, and he was kind of signaling him to come back to the field. You know what I mean?
And
I forget-
Jalen was like, "Nah,
he's
we're
like,
not
"No,
having
yeah,
that."
Yeah, something like that. I forget what the play was.
Yeah, because
I don't know.
I just listen. It's so hard to say anything against the guy, given the success that he's had. But there's just these instances where I worry. And by the way, we're sitting here talking about how Andy got the best of him. You know what I mean? Outfoxed him.
He didn't outfox him. He outfoxed the D coordinator.
Okay, they could have
But Andy
been ready for
making
that play.
adjustments, that sucked.
Yeah, I just think I worry sometimes that the guy is a little up and down, and in certain moments, other teams can exploit that. I could be wrong. I mean, he certainly is good enough to get us to the absolute ultimate level. And
Yeah,
and
I don't think it was on him at all in that game.
What
Yeah,
did
it
you
was.
think when you saw those tears streaming down his eyes? Though, what did you think?
I thought it was weird, man. But
I was in the
whatever.
bathroom.
Yeah,
I was in the bathroom. Okay,
I was I was way too focused on
Guys,
the
you know we
game
have a
to-
world-class ballet dancer with us today, Miss Avery over here from the Nutcracker. Can we give a clap to Avery? Soon to be the star of the Black Swan, I'm sure, or what have you. We appreciate you.
Absolutely.
And all right, good stuff.
I'd card her before you serve her.
Very good. Thanks for coming out, guys.
Yo, can you grab me a beer, bro?
Yeah.
Hazy IPA. Just put it on the tab. What? All right.
All right.
Cool.
So you don't like Meech. I know you're whatever. I know you're not buying into the concept of mixed emotions. I had a realization after this game that I've since heard a lot of people talk about. So, I know that I'm not the only one thinking this, but there was a time when I said to myself, all right, because as you go through the process of, you kind of get past the game and you go, all right, what does this mean moving forward? And you immediately are saying, all right, how do we get back? How do we win? And how reasonable is it to think we can do that, right?
And then I think I can't emotionally handle another run like this,
Right.
and we might as well just lose every game next year. And I'm done. I don't want to be a sports fan anymore, and this is stupid and pointless. Thank you.
Well, we all can't walk away.
Those are the emotions I feel the
can't-
week after a Super
Right.
Bowl.
That's the thing.
Well-
Like when you get to that point, and you are up at 10 points at the half, you got to win that game. It's like the same thing as the Phillies, right? When you get there's no telling when you're going to get back to that situation.
So,
And it's
but
like,
we know that, and it already
Are you
happened.
saying metaphorically the Eagles got no hit in the third quarter of that game?
Pretty much,
It was
yeah.
kind of like being
Yeah,
up
it was.
2-1 in the World Series, right?
I would say the Eagles defense got no hit in the third quarter of that game.
But at some point,
Yeah.
as I'm starting to think to myself, because you made the point, that game validated Hurts as an elite.
Yeah, that's what I'm
quarterback.
saying. Like,
But he was validated before that for me.
Sure.
That meant those 3 rushing touchdowns that he had could have easily went to Sanders, Gainwell, and even the first touchdown. Gainwell was this close to getting it. If he didn't get those 3 touchdowns and only had 1 passing touchdown, it wouldn't have diminished his performance at all.
just walk through the camera, Bird. Show the
It
baby.
didn't matter. Yo, can we get the baby in the camera?
He might not want the baby in the
Oh
camera.
yeah, beautiful baby.
He might not want the baby in
Yeah,
the camera.
but-
Bird, you want the baby in the camera?
You know what? My problem is I do, and again, this goes back to me feeling like I want to be the cheerleader for the city. I do want the city and the team to be recognized on a national level. So I felt like what Jalen did made it clear to everybody that he is an elite top 5 quarterback, no doubt about it. So this is where my train of thought goes. Okay, that happens. That's a good thing. Then I'm thinking, all right, well, who are the top 5 quarterbacks? And all of a sudden it dawned on me, there are no, and I mean no, not one, elite,
You don't have to.
not
Thank
one elite level quarterback in the NFC right now. And barring some sort of, Lamar Jackson maybe gets dealt, I don't think Justin Fields is going to be elite in his second year, maybe. Somebody gets drafted, they're not going to be good right away. My point is, there's absolutely a window right now. You got Rodgers, totally fried.
He's probably going to be on
Right,
the Raiders
Brady,
next year
yeah,
anyway.
right.
Yeah.
Brady's gone. My point is this: how have the Chiefs been able to win 2 Super Bowls? By
With
getting
an
to
elite
what?
quarterback.
Right, but also by getting to 5 AFC championships or 6? What is it? 5?
5.
5 in a row.
Yeah.
Right. So they didn't make the Super Bowl every year, but they've had a shot to do it in consecutive years.
Yeah, see-
and so this is my optimism. With the quarterback being that good, with the offense likely to remain largely intact, I think Jason Kelsey is probably going to come back because he believes in Jalen Hurts, and that's why he came back to begin with. So my point is, I think we actually have a window. And let me preface all this by saying, as Philly fans, we've been here before, right? We did the new norm thing. We thought Carson was so good. That didn't work. The Phillies were the
This
closest
guy's
team.
different, though. He's different.
He is different. And the opportunity is
And
different.
he's still 24, which is younger than some of the quarterbacks coming out in the draft this year.
But by the way, think about it like this. Even if Wentz was as good as he looked, he would have been entering into a couple years where Brady, Rodgers, these guys were all still in their prime.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
You
So
still
my
had,
point is, the quarterback
Russ.
we have is better. The opportunity is greater. If the only team I can think about that even came close to this was the 08 Phillies, by going back to the World Series the next year, that was the closest. But even they couldn't sustain it. And so my point is, as Philly fans, we haven't had that scenario where it's sustained opportunities other than the Eagles when they were making the conference championships, but they couldn't get to the big game.
Yeah.
So realistically, you got to be in that conference championship 5 or 6 years. You got to make the Super Bowl 3 or 4 times to give yourself a chance to win a couple.
Yeah,
That's where my head is
The
at.
quarterback is the most important position in sports, right?
like the early 90s Buffalo Bills.
Yeah. Don't say that. Don't say that.
But interestingly, you think about the Buffalo Bills, right? This is a perfect example.
Jim Kelly.
Well, yeah, Jim Kelly. But also, right, like a couple years ago, they had Josh Allen, right? And they looked so good. And you were like, these guys are definitely going to get there at least, if not win one. They haven't even been able to get there. You know what I mean?
But
So
they
we
still
got
always
there.
have. They still always have a shot though, and they're dealing with Patrick Mahomes. They're dealing with what's my man's name? Joe Shiesty. What do they
Joe
call
Burrow.
him? Joe Shiesty. Joe Burrow.
Right.
But I'm saying so. The quarterback position is
That
the
is
most
a great
important.
point about NFC having no good
no elite quarterbacks.
Who's
Think about it. If you're
Kirk Cousins
Buffalo-
and Dak Prescott.
If you're Buffalo, you have to go through
Daniel
Burrow and
Jones.
Mahomes to
Yeah.
get there. If you're Jalen Hurts, who is it? Daniel Jones? The 49ers are probably the best team. They have no idea what they're going to do. Is Trey Lance going to be good coming off the injury? Like, I'm
is he
telling
going
you,
to be
man.
good not of an injury? Like, is he good at all?
Yeah.
You
And by the
still-
way, look, everybody says, oh, we got all these free agents. We got to give Jalen money. Yeah, well, we got 2 first-round picks this year.
Top
we got a
10,
bunch of other
number
picks
10
next
pick.
year. You know what I mean?
So
Like,
look at it. Look at
how he does.
So, like I said,
I'm feeling baptized myself in it.
Once I, like I said before,
I don't
the quarterback position is the most important position in sports. If you have a good elite quarterback, you always have a chance to get into the playoff. Look at the Packers this year. That team fucking stunk, right?
True.
But they have a wily vet and Aaron Rodgers, who he's not elite anymore, but he's good enough to like know how to get your team. And they almost made the playoffs, right? With a shit team. If the Eagles have a couple pieces around Jalen Hurts for the next, let's say, 5, 6, 7 years, they're always going to be in contention to get into the playoffs. If they get into the playoffs, they're always going to be a threat to make it there.
It sounds
So-
great, but in my stupid head, all I think about is we were there just last week and we fucked it up.
We
So
did.
I don't want. I can't.
Right.
I can't think that far.
You
ahead.
gotta get
Because
past it, Meech.
There's so many things that could happen. I mean,
We got to get Meech a therapist. We got to get him.
I don't want a therapist. I like being how I am.
You
I
like being salty?
being a paranoid.
All right.
Freak
I
football
think,
fan.
maybe,
I enjoy it.
Meech, we might have the therapist for you here in our boy who's sitting here at the bar that I'd love to bring in here. If he can pull himself away from whatever he's having, we're about to find out. We got Dan McQuaid
I
in
didn't
the
want to
house.
interrupt his dinner.
There he is. Boom.
Shout out.
Let's go.
What'd you have over there? Did you have a Von Hayes?
Just a burger, nothing.
Was it a
Okay,
turf
wait.
burger?
I
Yeah,
just-
just a,
Defector's
no,
own
just a
Dan
regular burger.
McQuaid.
I eat like a third grader, so like it was just a burger.
By the way, Rock, did you know they got rid of the Von Hayes? The Von Hayes is
I
no
did
longer
not.
on the menu. That
Nah.
pisses me off.
What happened? They got a
Really?
cease and desist or something?
Well, it was. I think the Von Hayes was a bastardization of the Schmitter.
It definitely
but,
was.
Yeah, whatever. Maybe they got to cease this. Maybe right. All right, Dan. Look, man, great to have you. You're a
Yeah,
legend.
thanks for having me on.
You're a legend on the interwebs,
a
as far as
legend.
I'm concerned. Tell us a little bit, real quick, about what you're doing with Defector, so everybody knows where to find you.
Sure, yeah. So I work for Defector Media. I'm our visual editor. I do a lot of our art, but also I write a lot, and I run our merchandise store, and I design a lot of the stuff in there too, like this sweatshirt that you can purchase at defectorstore.com. No.
Beautiful.
So Defector Media is a cooperatively owned, independent sports blog, and we cover a bunch of other stuff, culture and news and politics, things like that. And it's going really well. We started it, as you may know, we all quit Deadspin at the end of 2019, and about a year later, we started our own blog, and I'm like very thrilled with how it's gone. It's like going very well. We've like expanded since we started. We have like 40,000 subscribers. One of our staffers, Kelsey McKinney, who lives in Philly now, started a podcast, Normal Gossip. That's like a huge hit.
Cool.
So yeah, things are going well.
Now, Dan, when I first started blogging in like 2007, 8, Dan had it wasn't even a blog. It was like a Tumblr page, the Philadelphia Will Do. He ran, and he would just pretty much take anything interesting that happened in Philly. It was like a really cool site. And when I first started, I used to take stuff from him all the time. I'd be like, "Yo, do you mind if I use your stuff?" Like it's, and then he's helped with the fightings. He cut videos for it. Dan's been around doing like
geez.
He's been doing the video editing shit on the internet like way before everyone else.
Yeah,
started
if you Google like Philly sports fan end of decade compilation or something, I have a video that gets like retweeted at the start. I just did it like the morning of December 31st, 2019, and just like searched around, found all these like videos that had been, some of it I had already had collected, others I had to like go find the said guy. Like that video had disappeared, and I had to go to like archive.org and like find some old webpage.
You should have hit me up. I still have the original
I know,
file.
yeah, right. I should have known.
actually just
Yeah,
found
you
it
were the
a
one
while
who saw that you were watching Good Day Philadelphia. You know, I think my favorite thing about that video, you know, and obviously anybody watching this must know, but it's from the 2010 playoffs.
Yeah, yeah.
And they had just won, I guess, game 5 against the Giants, so they were coming back to Philly down 3-2. And some dude was really stoked in the middle
He
of
was stoked, Steve.
I always thought that-
Patterson Avenue. He's like, "Oh, I'm stoked, Steve." He's like, "Said that we talking about the fightings." Said. And then like Steve goes, "Said, Mike," like as if he needed to recap the guy's
By the way,
recap the guy's
I've
thing.
never asked anyone this. Like, do people say that, or
No,
did he just
I've
make
never
that up?
heard that. I've never
that
heard
a thing?
said.
Or
I
you're
think
like,
people
said.
say it now because of this guy.
But
Like,
before that,
still
I've
don't
never
he made
heard
it
that
up.
as
It
like a.
It's just said.
yeah, I'm not entirely sure.
no,
what,
said was
I've never really considered what it meant before. It
I
just
thought
seemed to
maybe
make
it was
sense
like
when he said it.
something they said in like old school hip hop, like said. You know what I mean? No,
Like I
nothing?
guess that like I don't
No,
think it's an old.
I
Yeah, I
would
mean,
know.
if anyone would know, it would be
completely
me.
made
but
that up. It was like I just said something, and now I say said to tell you what I just said. Like it was brilliant, whatever it was. I don't know.
Hey, nothing like
love
talking about the said guy in the Eagles commiseration episode.
Well, I guess we have to move
But
on.
wait, I
but-
have a question for you. Are you from Roxborough or no?
No, I'm from the far northeast. I grew up
Because
like,
I feel like I would see you posting stuff about how bad the roads are on like
so
Ridge Avenue,
So
and I'd be
now
like,
I live here. Yeah. So
Okay.
now I live in
'Cause I'm like, yes.
in Roxborough, Manayunk.
Yeah.
I'm in Wissahickon, which is a
all right, cool.
section that's
Yeah,
small.
So technically, Northeasterners are outnumbering the other guys.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
To always be happening.
I didn't know you guys had nice roads up there in the Northeast where you
Yeah.
come down there with the hick
I
and
mean,
you're like, these
they're
roads
not all
are dog
nice,
shit.
but like they don't even put lines in these roads.
Wait,
like,
wait.
I'm driving down one road, I think it's a one way, and then I see a car barreling towards it.
Yeah, Ridge was like the surface of the moon for a bit.
Yeah.
Finally, it has been paved. But Henry Avenue, someone like graffitied on one of the work trucks, like finish the fucking Henry Avenue roadway the other
I have
day.
2 stories. One is I'm driving with my son over the bridge there, you know, heading towards Roxborough, and somebody did finish the fucking, you know, construction work, and my son's like, wow, he's mad. Yeah, he is
It was
mad.
gone the following day. I was impressed by that
So
company.
then, listen to this. This happened last night. We were going up to the Northeast for a basketball thing. So we're on Roosevelt Boulevard, and all of a sudden, Roosevelt Boulevard. All of a sudden, you know, that like Mustang engine roar, you know, and like, you know, and like there's like literally like a police chase breaking out, and the guy like he cuts over from the inner lane to the outer lane. Then he dips out. My son's never seen anything like this, right? So he's like, what is going on? The guy dips down a side street, and so obviously I like look to see the cops follow him, but he's gone. And then I think it was a street where there was like a almost like a triangle where he went like boom boom and got back on and went like woof and took off, and the cops like could not find him at all. And my son is like, what happened? What's going on? And I had to explain to him, all right, well, sometimes, you know, people have warrants out for their arrest, and if the cops look for him, he goes to me. He
That's
goes,
what you started
yeah,
with?
he goes to me. He goes, do you have any warrants? I said, what the hell would I have a warrant for? He's like, well, they give you a warrant for speeding, and then I had to explain there are levels to this. But no, son, I don't have any warrants out. I don't believe.
So were you speeding
Big
on the
Ed Rendell
boulevard?
was a legendary speeder. I used to hear stories of
Oh yeah, they used to. It was a big controversy that he used to go.
Yeah, that was when
on
he
the
was
turnpike.
governor, I think, right? Yeah. When he's
Well, guess what?
like 100
You know
miles
what?
an hour.
He used to go 100 miles an hour on the turnpike because you go to 14 events every day. So you can't have your cake and eat it too. When he shows up at the
Hey,
bride's,
listen, you don't gotta defend him.
When he shows up, when he shows up
The
at the
statute of limitations is over.
Wait, was this your dad or your
my
dad's
dad,
driver?
my dad's driver, but he was instructed to go fast. But when my dad shows up at
Big
the
Ed- Big
Bridesburg
Ed's
like
almost
Memorial
stepped on
Day
the friggin'
parade,
gas.
you know, you can't have your cake and eat it.
We,
too. All right.
my wife and I were just talking about how Ed Rendell shot off the gun for a race when I was a kid, maybe my sophomore year of high school. The run for the hill of it in Chestnut Hill. And I remember this so well because he was like 45 minutes late and the race started 45 minutes late.
That's so good.
His driver wasn't
What
going
an
fast
asshole.
enough.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no. So that's
See,
why
that's
by the
why
time
he's-
he was
yeah.
governor, like this is when he was mayor. So like by the time he was governor, he knew he needed to, or he was going around
He's
the
probably
whole
all the way
state.
up the
so.
turnpike.
He did the best he could. Okay, guys, come on. All right, let's get it back to the Eagles. Dan, I know you have to have some insights on all this. Like, what's been pissing you off the most? What did you think was funny, not funny, so on? Oh gosh, you gotta watch the soundboard.
The funniest thing, and I know you guys were talking about it earlier, is that like I read all these stories in the lead up to the Super Bowl about the sod father and how he said it was the second greatest turf he'd ever seen in all of his years. And then the turf was very clear from like the first play, like Reddick slipped and was on the ground, and I was like, oh no, like this is.
Maybe when he said it's the second, maybe he had a different, deeper meaning behind that. Like, he created this for Kansas City.
But that, like I expect that, I mean, like I should have known, right? Because it's Arizona, and like the month before the turf, it was a different field, but like the turf for the national semifinal college was like really, really bad. The TCU Michigan game.
Should have.
And like I expect refs to make bad calls. I mean, I don't like really think that they should have been calling that there when that was the first defensive holding call they had called all game. But I really think that they should have gone for it when they were down 28-27. And I was like screaming at the. I mean, like they were losing and they gave it back to Patrick Mahomes. I don't think you need to even really look at like
he had one incompletion in the second half.
Yeah, like I'm someone who like looks at the numbers and like thinks you should go for it like a ton, and like Doug Peterson, widely considered like the dumbest man in football, went for it a ton and won the Super Bowl with Nick Foles. So I do think it's even played out. Like I'm surprised like it hasn't even caught on more. But like I don't think you even have to look at the numbers. It was like clear that they couldn't stop Mahomes anymore. Yeah. They needed to get to 35 first, But so that's the thing that made me angriest.
Okay, question.
That they didn't go for it there.
Has anyone heard? I assume no one's heard from the sod father since
He died.
He died.
I have not. I was saying someone needs to put a horse's head in the sod father's bed.
Can I ask you a question? As a legitimate journalist for Defector, could we not get you commissioned to go to wherever this guy lives and stand outside of his house and demand that he explains what happened?
I mean, I said we were doing well. Like having to do that much
that's too much
reporting when I have other things to do might. But I mean, I do.
But what's more important?
Yeah, I mean, I would like to do this. He's a Kansas City guy. Like
that's what you're talking about.
I didn't know that until one of my friends is a Chiefs fan, and like that fucking asshole. Like when Mahomes got hurt, he was like we hadn't texted all game. We'd been texting in the run up, obviously a bunch, and he was like, "Well, that's it for us." When Mahomes got hurt, I was like, "You're trying to change the vibe here. I don't like it."
And he did.
And it worked. I know.
Rocky was sending texts like game's over at that point.
I blame myself for the loss.
Nah.
You know what? I'm so nervous, generally speaking, that like I never ever said to myself like this is over. I was like, okay, this is a good position, but man, we got to hold it together. You know what I mean? I fear the worst constantly. So
I was I don't know where you guys watched the game at, but I watched it at where my kids played basketball, Tarsdale. They had a projector, so the gym was all blacked out, and they actually had a mechanical bull there, and like the kids, it was a really good time.
Man, Torresdale's a lot different than when
they're trying to build a new gym, so they
had, that's nice.
They had every good spot in the Northeast, bring food, and it was a shitload of catered food, a projector screen, bring your own beer, a mechanical bull.
Oh, BYOB?
It was like the kids were running around having a great time. It was a cool place.
Nothing
to watch
distracting.
The game. Nothing distracting, not to me.
Okay.
But at the end of the game, when I'm sitting there, like just completely worn out and looking dejected at the screen, and then other people are just carrying around like it's the end of a regular football game, and I cannot take that, man. And at that point,
they were just acting like nothing happened.
Yeah, like it was just okay, game over. And I wanted to kill somebody. And I never got my kids together so quick. Like, they wanted to stay. No, Dad, we're having fun. Like, what's fun about this? Let's go. Let's get the fuck out of here.
Like, the people partying on Broad Street after the game.
That was weird. Everyone grieves in a different way.
You know what?
They're not grieving. They're not football fans.
Can I just say something?
I'm not going to... they just wanted to party. Yeah, I don't blame their kids.
Those people are representative of I don't know if it's a recent phenomenon, right? But you can see it in the parking lot, too. There are, before the
Could
game...
give a shit less about the game.
No, there are so many young kids that have realized. I mean, we had like 15 kids with backpacks show up to our tailgate that were clearly in like, ninth grade and realized they could get beer there. We tried to have the bartenders card them, but it was very difficult. But anyway, my point is, there are all these people who are just trying to party.
Kidding.
Yeah.
And so these people had in their minds they were
call.
going to have a great party that night, and they did it anyway, and the game doesn't mean anything to them,
Yeah.
and it's just shameful behavior.
It is shameful.
I would have never done that when I was their
Yeah,
age.
like as soon as that flag came out, I was like ready to leave. I watched it at my
I was
parents
like, it's over.
in Ben Salem, and as soon as that flag went out, I was like,
And listen, I actually saw somebody on Twitter who had I guess he used his risk-free $100 parlay for FanDuel, and he had a $100 parlay to win $15,000, and the last thing he needed on it was a Jerick McKinnon touchdown.
And he slid.
So
So
can I just say something? Like I don't want to credit another team ever, but could you imagine being able to run in for a touchdown at the end in the fourth quarter to put your team
of the Super Bowl.
slide?
Yeah.
Like it's difficult. It's
He
such
had
a
to do
heads-up
it.
play, and
So to your point, when I
hats
saw
off
the
to him,
flag,
man. That was incredible. Like
I'm at the game. I saw the flag. I go, it's over. And then I go, next play is happening. Like, oh, let him score. Let him score. We could. And then when he slid, I go, now it's over.
I was saying they needed to like shove him into the end zone there.
like
yeah.
they do with Jalen Hurts on QB sneak.
Yeah.
Just everybody get behind them and push
And
him
by
in.
the way, Meech, I am very much like you. At the moment I was sure of the outcome, I turned around and I walked directly out of the stadium, through the parking lot to whoever I was meeting. I didn't watch a second of the celebration.
So you didn't see the confetti come down?
Hell no, dude.
Oh, man.
I
like
as soon
that.
as I knew it was over, I was like, I can't deal with this. I'm out of here. What do you mean you like that?
No, I like that you just left early.
I
Like
was
you
gonna
couldn't
say.
deal with the fucking pain, man. I was
No.
feeling the same way. I was like, how can somebody?
And by
like,
the way, I just want everyone to know, sad as it is, I've been to 2 Super Bowls and both were L's, man.
I was thinking about that. Jesse is not allowed at
Yeah,
any more fucking
I was
Super
at
Bowls, dude.
52, so really it seems like I'm the good luck
We need to
guy.
get
You
you
should
back.
have been there.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Hold on, we got
Murph,
some.
this is what happened to me in Arizona,
we got
and it
some
didn't
gifts.
work
We got
out
some
well.
gifts. We got some gifts.
By the way, you want to hear a funny story? So, Dan, we did a podcast last Friday.
I don't.
Dan doesn't drink.
I'll drink his.
Yeah,
Don't worry
so
about it.
someone else can take it.
So we did a podcast last Friday. These guys were at Fink's Hoagies, and I was at the Eagles bar in Arizona.
Yeah,
And
I
credit-
listened. I'm a listener.
All right, you know what's up.
head.
So credit to Jerry, by the way, for hooking that up. I was like, you guys can do this? I didn't believe it at all. So I'm like, I remember I was like, hey, I'm actually here. This is great. But I said to Goodhart, I was like, man, I remember you got us a shot, and then like, why'd you do that? And he's like, you kept asking me to get you shots. And I was like, what are you talking about? Oh my god, dude,
Sometimes
that was so
you
crazy.
can't listen to yourself.
I was too excited. I was too excited.
It
But
happens, man. It was a
I
Friday before.
And you know, so
well deserved.
I walked out of there. We went back to the hotel. I ate by myself, despite the fact that I went with a group of people. I had to get up. I had a 9 o'clock
You ate
flight.
your pain away.
Dude, and it was like in the airport, you know, like seeing all the other. By the way, here's another thing that I want your opinion on. When you go to the Super Bowl, or even if you don't go to the Super Bowl and you lose, like, do you put the Eagles gear on?
No.
You don't, right?
No.
No,
Like,
you
I didn't
got-
want
like,
anyone to talk to me,
I
so I
might
know
not
Unless you
wear-
have
I
like
might
a
not wear
jacket that
Eagles
you
gear.
have to wear because,
Right.
like,
Yeah,
you know, like
I
that's
might
what
not
you
wear
wore.
Eagles gear until like training camp.
That's what I'm saying.
You bury that
My
shit in the
son
bottom of
came
your bag.
downstairs with a hoodie on today. I was like, too soon. And I let him get away with it, but yeah, like
I do think like I would normally never wear the losing Super Bowl jersey ever again, but I will wear the Jalen Hurts Super Bowl patch jersey with pride again, just because he played
Okay.
so.
Yeah, I was
So-
going to ask you about that because I got
will.
the Kelsey one with the patch,
Yeah.
and I'm like, damn, this is another thing I feel guilty about. Like, I should have waited until after the game.
Yeah,
to
you-
buy
you
this.
can't-
this is
knock
that's another great
Kelsey.
example,
I mean-
okay? And I think we've talked about this a little bit before, because I think when the Phillies were like in the NLCS or something, like the only time I ever bought playoff gear was after the Eagles won that Super Bowl, because
Right.
I was always like, I don't want to have something
Yeah, I
that
don't
reminds
want
me of
a,
how
I
they
don't want a
lost.
conference champion shirt.
But
Yeah.
now I have the Kelsey Jersey thing. I'll probably rock that, you know, out of respect for Kelsey anyway. What do you think, Dan?
I own like far too many clothes. I'm one of those idiots who is out the next morning.
Dan starts
like,
collecting
buying,
bootleg Eagles merch.
I have. It's not important how many bootleg Eagles T-shirts I have now.
Did
of
you get one at
various-
Stanley's in Roxborough? Because they were selling a couple of fire items.
I don't want to. I don't
out
want to get
your
them in
sources.
trouble.
Yeah, I got
but yes.
yes,
I don't think anyone who could get you in trouble is listening to this podcast.
Yeah, that's
right now.
true. That's That's true. I actually wore a bootleg when I went to the Super Bowl. I wore like a bootleg shirt from the deli across the street from the school that my wife teaches at in Kensington.
There you go.
And you know, it's great. It's like that deli. It's called Quick Stop, and it's like, if you want to see what a 7-Eleven looked like in like 1993, awesome. That is the deli to go to. No, it's Quick, right? It would be better if it were spelled weird. But
it's always interesting. It would be funny to like accumulate gear from every random playoff series, you know, so that you have like wild card play, you know, like Phillies wild card
double doink.
Yeah. I mean, like during the run up to the Super Bowl, you know, like Eagles merch, both like, you know, like bootleg stuff that you find on the corner of like, you know, Grant and the Boulevard. I always enjoy how like some places are happy to violate like all the IP. Some places, some are
kind of respectful.
Some are like it'll be like Philadelphia football, but it'll have like a picture of Jalen Hurts, and it's like, oh, so you just steal Jalen Hurts' image. But I did see one, and I bought it, that says Jalen Hurts, Jaylen. And I have one too somewhere in my basement. When Usain Bolt ran at the Penn Relays, I think in 2010, I bought a bootleg shirt that's like spelled his name wrong. It was like USAIN.
You
like,
love that.
Like, well, how can you get that wrong?
The
It's
least you
easy
can
to
do
look
is
up.
Google it.
Yeah.
Speaking of bootleg shirts, I learned something at the Super Bowl because I always thought one of my favorite shirts was I'm an Eagle bitch, right? Or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
I'm an Eagle bitch.
Yeah.
Well, I was out there and I saw it's like, I'm a Chief bitch. And I was like, really? I was like,
I mean, that is like a so
bootleg
like
the bootleg.
that guy. Like I bought one of those. It says like that on the back, and it says like Nick fucking Foles on the front. I bought that outside Super Bowl 52. And then like the same guy, I saw him outside like a different major sporting event in a photo, like from like I forget
from a different town,
what it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this guy travels around the country selling these
Straight
shirts.
hustler.
Wait, Meek, didn't you make a bunch of money off of selling something similar back in your day?
I mean, yeah.
It was a little more clever than that.
Yeah, well,
I had a
really.
whole T-shirt operation going. I got a cease and desist from the Major League Baseball and the MLB Players Association.
Shout out to the bootleggers, man. I got like one of my favorite Eagles T-shirts is a picture of Jeff Garcia when he went on his run. It's like
A fighter fights.
Yes,
So
I don't think that was bootleg.
No, that was an actual Jeff Garcia produced shirt. However, there was a dude at the clothespin who like sold those shirts well into like the 2010s, and
Was it Milton Street?
I believe the year was 2007 or 2006 was the Jeff Garcia year. Also, I recently bought a Jeff Garcia a fighter fight shirt on eBay. And
Wait, they going for money on eBay?
like $5.
all right.
But
thought I had some
then
gold in my fucking
the other bids I had put in on like for $5 on Jeff Garcia shirts were all accepted. So I don't have like 4 of them. Whoops, but you know.
If anybody needs a Jeff Garcia fighter fights T-shirt,
I have the world's largest
I got one.
collection
If anybody
of
wants to
them.
buy it, if you want to pay
All
top
right,
dollar.
we'll talk. I could use more. Yeah.
Brings his collection.
It's probably a large, I believe. Yeah.
So one thing I wanted to do that I just recalled
Take
is
a shot.
Yeah,
Take a shot.
Okay, yeah, because
Take a sympathy shot, man.
Let's do it to the Eagles, you know.
Can we put some sad music behind this?
Let's to
wait.
Mac McClung.
To the lack of elite quarterbacks in the NFC.
Yes,
let's go.
Did you say to Mac McClung?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah, he's a Sixer, isn't he? Well, he's a blue coat.
I went last. I didn't just go last night. Jesse gifted me with his seats last night. I'm very thankful. He's a good dude.
Thank
So I took my wife.
Eddie.
I took my wife and passed it off as like a Valentine's Day date.
Ah.
It was nice. We had a great time. And
Hey,
it
do you want me
worked,
to
man.
send you a text? Be like, man, I still can't believe you paid me so much for those tickets.
No. I told her.
You take the kids too?
And no, fuck the kids.
Oh, damn, fuck
You
the
know,
kids.
I mean,
Thank you, Michael Jordan.
Like not
Yeah, right?
like that, but listen, me and my wife got a nice night out every once in a while, and nobody likes to hear a bad beat story, but I did place a nice parlay.
I
And-
figured you had action.
And I had a parlay where it was a 13-leg parlay. 12 of the legs hit, and all I needed was for the 13th, Trey Young to score 20 points in Madison Square Garden, where he loves playing. He's got 19 going into the fourth quarter. Doesn't score another goddamn
Shut
point.
the fuck
Swear to
up.
God.
What?
Whoa.
Oh man,
I was-
that's a bad beat.
That's why most people don't
I
gamble.
was devastated.
Here's why I don't gamble, because I do okay in sports. I'm not like great, but then I'll be like, ooh, blackjack, and then I'll lose it all.
Yeah. See, I'm very disciplined at staying out.
Yeah, I wish I could do that. I'm disciplined at sports betting and not at blackjack.
Oh,
and if I go to the
remembered?
casino, I just play poker, and it's fine.
Right,
I
I
might lose
just
money, but
remembered.
I'm playing against somebody else.
We went to the Sports Illustrated party, which sounds like really cool, but it was like.
It's not anymore.
Yeah, it was like there was literally maybe like 5,000 people there. It was like in a Cirque du Soleil tent. Machine Gun Kelly played, which
And the chain smokers, right?
I didn't catch that part because we went in. So it was right by the Talking Stick Casino.
Oh yeah.
So we went in. Listen to this. So we're sitting there, like Nadav, our boy Nadav's in there, dude, on roulette, just like getting after it.
Shout out Lapstone Hammer.
Yeah, everybody's like playing blackjack, and I just was like not feeling it. So I just watched my boy like lose like hundreds of dollars like real quick. But we look over, guess who's in there playing roulette across from the other table? I'll give you guys one guess. Think
Michael Rubin?
Nope.
Barcane.
No.
Allen Iverson.
Correct. There you go. Come on.
Look at
That
this
should have
guy.
been the first guess. So it was funny
I
because
didn't even know he was out there.
Yeah, because Nadav was like, "Yo, what up?" You know what I mean?
Did he have a
But it was,
conversation with Alan?
No, they were like, they weren't really.
He's like, yeah, you still owe me $45,000 for this fucking
No,
jersey.
that story he told us.
Right.
No, it sounded like he always made good.
Yeah, I know.
Nah,
messing
but what I was gonna say is this.
Wait, did you go to the Fanatics party? I saw.
No, you know what? I didn't go to the Fanatics party. You know what's interesting about the Fanatics party?
The Fanatics party was delayed.
Yo, I heard a crazy story about Jay-Z.
It'll ship around February 28th.
I don't even know if it's true about Jay-Z not like playing, and there was a discrepancy about how much money he was gonna get. But the Fanatics party was from like 1 to 4 on Saturday, like in the afternoon. Like, all those like ballers or whatever were like hanging out from like 1 to 4 p.m. I thought that was.
You know what I thought
totally
was weird about the Fanatics party? Because shout outs, I love Subers.
Subers is there. Yeah.
He's the man, and he took a lot of pictures there. And a lot of those guys are wearing sweaters at the party. I'm like, isn't this in fucking Arizona? Like,
Jess
this
had
is
his
the middle
little.
of the day.
Remember when we did the
But they're
podcast
wearing
last
like
week? Jess
thick
had his,
sweaters, like cable knit sweaters.
Didn't-
I'm like, what are
wait,
these
did
guys
I have?
doing?
Did
You
I have
had-
my Pigeons jacket?
You had your jacket on, yeah.
Yeah, but no. Well,
Listen, I there's nothing wrong with stunting, but
nah,
you got to be.
Let me give you a weather
comfortable,
report.
right?
You know, it was like 60s, 70s. There was a lot of wind most days, so it wasn't really nice. The
Was it sweater
Sunday
weather?
of the Super Bowl was the nicest day, actually. As soon as it gets a little dark, it's absolutely sweater
Saturday
weather.
between 1 and 4, was it sweater weather? Or were people just out there in their
could've been.
$3,500 sweaters?
I'm sure they wanted to show that $35.
I don't want to go off. I know we're guessing coming towards the end and going crazy here, but tell me what you thought about the Waste Management Open, because that I touched on it a few weeks ago, but that's where I had my bachelor party. Was at the Waste Management
Okay.
Open. Me and like 10 of my buddies flew out there. I have a buddy that lives out in Arizona.
Shout out Tiger Woods, by the way. OG.
Yeah, Tiger back on the course if anyone.
I have a buddy who lives out in Arizona, and his wife catered the event, so we got free tickets. We were in
Okay.
catered tents. It was the coolest part about it was, I mean, maybe myself included. People probably looked at me and thought the same thing, but I saw the most intoxicated people I've
Right.
ever seen in my entire life.
All right.
Like
You ever
guys
see that video of that
like, they
guy,
can't-
like,
yeah,
stumbling?
it was that like
It was that week?
everywhere you walk, like that can't hold his balance, and it's
Yeah.
like, whoa,
Okay.
look at him, he's wobbling, and he just fell.
All right, so here's
Fink,
my
you pull
take.
that guy
Here's my
up,
take.
that
Let me just
fucking
tell you
stumbling
this.
around the
Let me
Waste
tell you this.
Management Open.
I am not in a good position to actually give you a report because I had it honestly like so good it was ridiculous. Like we got like a golf cart, from the entrance all the way in.
Well, most of the time I was there, I was
Well, you
in
had
a
that
tent.
VIP pit.
Yeah,
But
and here's
we
the thing.
explored a few
Here's
times.
what I learned.
And exploring
Here's what I
was
learned.
so
At
much
that
fun.
tournament now, 16 is such a thing. It's like you're either in 16 or you're
Yeah, you
not.
can't go-
If you get into
yeah,
16,
you
it
can't
is
go
the,
anywhere
it is the
else.
coolest thing. They built this gigantic structure that surrounds it, and you could literally like you walk out of the suite and you just walk around like it's the concourse at like a
Yeah.
Eagles game. They built it, and you can walk around the entire hole. If you can get in there, it's awesome. I looked over the wall, and there was just a sea of people everywhere, and I was like, I don't know. And so I didn't see, and I think this is kind of like the Super Bowl. It's the same thing. The people who have access to that are not the same people who are
Right,
getting
right.
like.
So you didn't
It
like
wasn't as
you didn't
crazy as
walk
I
the
thought.
grounds at all. I was talking to this guy at work
No.
today about like you. I've been to like other professional golf tournaments, and you like kind of walk around, you bounce around, hole to hole. And I was talking to him, and
Yeah.
he was like, I was like, hey, did you see that video that was online? Bryce Harper. He's like, yeah, I did see that. I was like, that was yeah. Anyway, I was like, I think it would be kind of boring to just sit at the same spot see people tee off time after time after time again at the same hole.
I mean, the truth
But
of the
it wasn't
matter
like
is,
that?
it was almost like I was watching the guys come through and play golf, but it wasn't like any other golf tournament. It was like a party.
it was like a
just
party.
hanging out. Like we were in this box, like directly next to us was Dave Portnoy and like all these Barstool guys and there's all these athletes. I mean, it was
yeah,
like
did you talk to Dave, by the way?
you know,
you
I
got that
didn't talk
contract
to him.
coming?
You know, I didn't talk to
Damn
Dave.
it.
He didn't really
Did you
put
tell
off
him
a
how
vibe.
problematic he was?
I was like, hey, do you want to sponsor a podcast? It's a couple hundred, listeners every week. And he's like, I don't know, buddy. Did you guys see Frankie Borelli fading me, though? You didn't even know who he was.
I didn't even know who he was,
I don't know if you
to
guys
be
followed
honest
the foreplay pod
Frankie
or not. but-
Borelli. You know who Frankie Borelli is? Yeah.
Yeah,
Fink, you know who Frankie
Fink,
Borelli
do you?
is?
Dan, you?
Dan.
Foreplay?
No, I've never
hate
played
the
golf.
Eagles
I've
right
only
now,
played
man.
like video game golf.
That makes sense.
So
But
these guys
I did
faded-
once cover a golf event, so
Yeah, but you're a golfer.
These guys faded me because I didn't know who the fuck Frankie
Right,
Borelli
but
is.
most
had
people
no
that
idea
are
who he
into golf know what the foreplay pod is and the Barstool golf thing and all that. You don't.
I heard of the foreplay pod.
Yeah, well, the guy from the foreplay pod walked by,
I love
and I
foreplay.
videoed him because I knew he wasn't going to do it, and I said, hey, let me get a Go Birds, and he's like, you know what I mean? He wouldn't do it.
But he described that Frankie was the guy who does the pizza reviews, and he's like, all right, Frankie,
I
everybody
like that
knows
name.
the
That's
rule.
a good name. Hey, Frankie Borelli. Hey.
He's from the.
Hey.
He's from the pizza reviews.
Yeah,
he's like, all right,
he's
Frankie,
from
you know the rule.
From the
there."
pizzeria, Frankie Borelli.
The
Yeah. But it was very cool, obviously, to go to an event like that, and then the next day know, you
You're
were
going to the
going to
Super
the
Bowl.
Super Bowl. It was all-time
was
weekend.
that the same day you guys play golf? You and
No, we played
Goodhart?
golf on Friday.
Okay.
And it's funny. Anyone who plays golf can relate to this too. Somebody invites you to play golf. You're in like a place that you weren't prepared to play golf. You got no clubs. You barely even have like golf clothes.
Yeah.
And golf courses in Arizona, it's like there's no rough. It's just like cactus.
Yes.
You know
Yeah,
what I
it's
mean?
like
So I was
dirt,
like,
rock, and
and
sand,
this
yeah.
guy was like taking us out at his course, and I'm just like, oh shit. They gave us loaner clubs that were like blades. I was like, oh my god, dude. So I was like, this could be so bad, but I actually pulled it together. By the end, I was like ripping it. I was like, hell yeah. So
How Goodhart
good.
do? We would like to know.
he hung in there, man. You know what I mean? He had his ups and downs, as you will. Speaking of which, the podcast, the City Pigeons Podcast, is brought to you by the Goodhart Law Firm, Philadelphia's best
that, Mark?
personal
Like how I
injury
fucking
firm.
segued that in there?
If you should happen to have a matter that you need representation regarding personal injury, work issues, what have you, reach out to the Goodhart
If I
Firm,
park my car on the train
thegoodhartfirm.com.
tracks.
That is where you want to go. And on a related
think he's
note,
got anything to
guys,
do with
our homies at our boy Joe at Fans of Philly
My man.
threw down a ridiculous tailgate out at the Super Bowl. We had a big crew that rolled there. The
Brent
best,
Selleck?
Yeah, Brent Selleck was in there. It was the best way to get ready. We were with our brethren. And I know Fans of Philly's got some really cool Phillies trips coming up. Now we know who we're going to play next year, right? The Eagles do. We don't know when, but we know where we're going.
Yeah, I want to go
there's
to
some good
fucking
away
Kansas
games next
City.
year.
I
Yo,
wanna
we
go to
gotta
fucking
go to
Kansas City.
Kansas City, LA, Seattle are
Yo, we
all.
gotta go to
Yeah,
Kansas
yeah,
City.
yeah.
I'm not going to Kansas City. No.
Yo, fuck that.
I went to.
I'm kind of with Meech.
I went to.
I'm not. I
Why won't you
don't
go?
want to face the demons. I can't do it.
Won't face the demons.
We're going. Joe, we're
there's
going.
I'm kind of in for Seattle. I think Seattle might be a nice
This
one.
this is going to
just out
sound
there.
like the worst thing I've
Nice,
ever said.
nice.
There's a painting I want to see in the Kansas City Art Museum. So that's. But
To
I,
each
I
his
also.
own,
But
Dan.
my old weed dealer lives in Seattle, so I would also like to go
okay,
to
that
Seattle.
makes sense.
But
Whoa.
I went to LA when the Eagles played. I went to LA back-to-back years when the
We
Eagles
went for the
played
Rams
there.
game.
We
Yeah,
did.
the
That was
Rams.
my
Yeah,
good
so they
Carson
played. Yeah, I was there the game. Carson got hurt. And then I was there the next year, and like that, it was cool because I always wanted to go to the LA Coliseum.
It's a
and so
fucking
like,
dump, right?
it's crazy.
Oh yeah, but like it was awesome. Like it made me feel like going to the
was
vet
cool.
when I was a
Gladiator
kid.
in
Except
that-
like
in that place.
except
You're
like
pissing in a
weirder.
straw.
All I know is
Yeah.
this: we got, before you know it, what was crazy to me today? They're talking about where the Eagles know what coordinators they're going to hire because they got the combine coming up. I mean, there is no downtime. The draft will be coming, and I know the Fans of Philly guys are working out all the plans for the trips. That stuff's going to be coming out. I think most people are signing up for that in the spring, early summer. We're going to be giving you guys lots of details on that, getting you signed up. We're going to one
We
of
gotta
these.
go to
We're going to
KC,
one of these
man.
bad boys.
I gotta throw something
and
on
it's
the
going
field.
down. We'll have a great time.
I'll
Appreciate
need a
Fans of Philly,
credible
Joe,
lawyer
for
for
coming us
KC.
out.
It's going to be a rare sick trip, away trip next year to New Jersey to Giants game.
That's where you're going.
That's the big trip. Next
Yo,
year.
All right.
random.
Also, hold on. They're talking about the Eagles might have the Europe game this year. They could be in.
Well, let's go.
That's an
That's what they're
expensive
talking
trip.
about today.
Who's got that kind of money?
I was going to go to London in 2018, and then it didn't.
Guess
didn't
who went to
work
London in
out.
2018?
You did?
Don't hate
how
haters.
was it?
Why are you gonna hate?
Did the Eagles
I have
win,
that-
or,
I
did the
have
Eagles
that-
win or lose?
The Eagles won.
They won, yeah. I have
They played
that
the
like
Jags,
gray starter jacket that they put
Yeah,
out
it's
for
nice.
that for that game. It's like
With a little the London.
yeah, it has like
shit
the
in
London
inside.
skyline on the inside. The
I was gonna
problem
say skyline, but is that what they call
yeah,
it in
it's a
England?
skyline. Yeah. The problem is, and this is not a problem, but I've lost enough weight that it's now way too big on me. So if you're looking for a 2XL starter London jacket, and you would like to trade some bootleg T-shirts for it, let's.
There you go.
I got a
Jeff Garcia
Jeff Garcia fight shirt for
That sounds fair. Yeah.
All right. Well,
go.
Well, I guess I saw. I went to the Sixers game last night, and sitting perpendicular for me was Jordan Davis with his girl. He was wearing a big NASCAR jacket. I didn't think they made NASCAR jackets in size.
How
fucking
large was he?
17XL. He's a very big dude.
Yo, why is that dude only getting 10 snaps in the fucking Super Bowl?
not ready.
Man?
Yeah,
What do you mean he's not ready? You think he's not ready, or
I mean,
They
if
said
he,
he didn't have the
was-
right cleats. They said.
shout out
said
to
the
Sod
Sod Father
Yeah.
put him
fucking
down.
dickhead.
So, yeah, we're gonna find the Sod
You
Father.
are-
What
You
if
are
the
done,
Chiefs have to
Sod
go up to
Father.
the Sod Father and be
Dead.
like, Sod Father,
Thank you, Sod
Yo,
Father.
yo, random
Thank
question,
you.
thank you
real
for
quick,
what you
real
did
quick.
to the
I'm sorry.
grass, Sod Father.
You know I do this shit.
Yeah. you do.
The Defector talks about everything. What the fuck is going on with the chemicals and the trains derailing? What the fuck is going on, bro?
I do not
Cool. We got
believe.
balloons in the
I do
sky.
not
What the
believe
fuck
we have
is going
done.
on?
Well, so
Are we under attack?
the balloons.
under
I
attack?
believe Biden just talked today about how it was like, oh, these were like amateur projects, private things, no big deal. We like it was basically like whoops. Which is
I saw they
like,
shot down some middle school clubs balloon, like
yeah,
their
like-
weather balloon or some shit.
Now it's like
Why
if
are
you
we
have a
talking
birthday
about
party
this?
and the
All right, let's
balloons
end
go
this
up, it's
fucking
like
I told you I had to fucking just go off on a tangent.
we
Yeah.
have not done any train derailment coverage. I have been reading a bit about it because I read Pittsburgh news because I read all Pennsylvania
Well,
news because I'm a weirdo.
Wow.
My
under
mom
attack.
called me the other day. She might be watching now. I love you, Mom. She called me the other day. She goes, my son goes to school in Pittsburgh. She goes, how far is that train derailment from Pittsburgh? Like, she's worried about my son's health.
Tell
Like,
him
I'm
don't
like,
drink the water.
Yeah, he'll be
Only
fine.
bottled
Yeah.
water.
He's not going swimming in the lakes by there.
My wife and I went on a Pennsylvania road trip a couple years ago, and it was a blast. I am trying to come up with a way to get people to have more Pennsylvania pride.
Yeah.
We went to like
I ain't gonna lie, I'm scared of that whole Pennsylvania.
Pittsburgh's
that whole
so-
Thorpe.
range, you know what I mean?
Pittsburgh's a great city.
You pass a certain point, it seems like Trump shit.
I'm like,
so this would have been in
Did you,
20.
did you go to elk country?
He said, or
No, we did not go elk hunting, but like we went to
Or elk
Erie.
country.
So
That's what they. I went to
Yeah,
Cherry,
yeah,
State,
yeah,
Cherry
yeah.
State Park or something like that.
Yeah,
You want to
so-
know something interesting? I used to work for an ad agency, and I was a junior copywriter, and one of my jobs was to write ad copy for the state of Pennsylvania's tourism campaign.
Oh, okay,
so I got
yeah,
to know
yeah.
all this stuff about the elk and the bass fishing.
was it like
and-
what was it like? America starts here or State of Independence? What was the
yeah,
slogan at
it
the
was
time?
it was Pennsylvania. I remember I did one for we were having the bass fishing contest, and it was like it's time to separate the hogs from the dinks, which is like big fish. No one wants to know, but the bottom line is I can
this
relate
should
to
probably be
it.
a conversation off of a podcast.
We should
have
Sorry,
Yes.
I'm sorry for going. You know, I always bring up some random shit.
Let me say this, just to summarize. I think
But this has me thinking. We should do a podcast in like a month or so.
Conspiracy theories?
No, at a ski lodge. Let's go.
Yo,
to,
let's do
let's
that.
Go
You don't
towards
wanna see us-
Pittsburgh.
okay.
Let's do it at a ski lodge. I won't ski, but
Wait,
I'll
hold on.
No,
hold
no,
on,
no,
hold
you
on,
have
hold
to
on.
ski.
No,
There was
I'll
supposed
do
to
the,
be a race between Devin and Fink on skis, if I recall correctly.
Cheese
Yeah,
on the
we
chat.
can set this up.
Devin,
DK,
I will kill
Devin,
you.
This
in
could be
Okay.
like the
ski
Winter
slopes.
Olympics.
All right, listen. We're going in
Wait,
a lot of
wait,
different
wait,
directions.
wait. We're at Murphy's Saloonery, and I know Murphy's always does a yearly like
Yeah,
charity
he already
thing.
did that. He already did that.
All
Yeah,
right, never
Live-
mind that.
Shout out to Live Like Brent and Murphy.
Rock's only a few weeks
all
late,
those
but
guys
hey,
have done for
Murphy's,
childhood
this
cancer.
is,
Counts.
although I don't drink anymore, this is one of the top 5 bars in Philly. Maybe.
Yeah, if you've never been to
Maybe
Murphy's,
top
in-
This is
three.
a great spot.
If you've
never
I've
been to
never
Mercedes
been here,
Falls,
but
you
it's
fucking up.
This reminds me a lot of Northeast bars. It's
I think we're gonna do this
it's
weekly.
very basement-ish.
Murph
It's like
doesn't know it,
real,
though.
right?
Yeah.
Like you look at the stuff on the wall. It's like photos
Yo,
from
can we get
You
Murph
look
up
at
there?
million years ago.
Murph,
You look at the
Yeah,
stuff on the
great.
wall, and it's just real, baby.
Yo,
like if
zoom
you're,
in on that.
you know, from the
Jared, zoom in on
2008.
that.
Yeah, bring Murph in here.
Bring
Murph,
in.
can you step in
Murph,
for a
step
second?
here for a sec.
Here, hold this in front of the camera just to show everybody.
This is the owner
There
of
we
the
go.
Murphy Saloon.
There we go. Boom.
Look at this guy.
Yeah, and Murph.
Thanks for your hospitality, Murph.
And by the way, Murph was with
Thank you,
me
Murph.
for the 2008 World Series. That's my guy right there. Murph, can we do this? Murph, real quick. We're going to put you on the spot. Can we do this every week? Sure. Bang, we're done. Let's go.
There it is.
All right, let's go. Free beers too, right? Free beers. Free beers. Free beers. All right, look. If there's one thing that I'm feeling good about right now is that I don't know if it was the
Eagles' future?
No, stop. I don't know if it was the collegiality. I don't know if it was the alcohol, but I feel like we had a good time. Like, we didn't let the somber
Yeah, I wasn't as
air
angry as I
of
thought I
the
was.
Eagles. We managed to distract you from
We
that.
should have did this directly after
I
the
know what,
fucking
I still
game
want
to
to
get
die.
the real reaction.
I still want to die. Oh, Jesus.
I think the that picture's ruined.
it's
I think the Sixers
Jesse's
game
drunk
last
again.
night was kind of therapeutic for me. I needed
That's
a
a good
Were
new
you
game.
worried they were
Good
going to
game.
lose at the end?
Yeah, dude, Cleveland's a good fucking team.
No, they
man.
are,
Cleveland,
yeah.
Cleveland's a good fucking
Wait,
team.
wait, real quick.
They were down to
I don't know if they almost lost, but like, I don't know.
They got it down to 4.
Wait, just in case anyone doesn't know what we're talking about, Meech went to the Sixers game last night. The Sixers were up like 30 points in the second quarter, and then they were down to 4 points with a minute left.
Yeah,
it was
like, what
so
do you mean?
classic.
But they won. Cleveland's a good, young, up and coming team.
Yeah, they won 7 straight for that.
I wasn't.
All right,
I saw some Franklin
so
shots,
this
by the way, on
begins
Instagram
the
and
Sixers
fucking
part of the
Franklin
podcast.
was
Franklin hit a
Frank-
half-court shot. It was so fun. I looked right over at Fink. I don't even think he was
No,
looking.
he was around me the whole time. Like he was just at every one spot around me. I was
All
in
right,
my
you
fit,
think
so
Guys,
Franklin
Jerry's
cares
got to
about
go.
I'm gonna murder
Jerry's
you,
got to go.
Franklin.
He's got to get out of here.
Godfather and Franklin's
yeah.
done.
Listen, hey, if you're checking this out, thank you for
Wait, we got
watching.
a shout out. Who we got shout out?
Shout out Dunk Cop.
Defectors.
Shout
Can we
out
get a shout
Defector Media,
Defectors?
that's
Everybody
me.
check out Defector Media. Check out Federal Donuts. Our man Tom Henneman. He was talking on the mic earlier.
There he is.
Yeah,
Who
everybody
else,
knows
Rock?
Tom.
Who else? Go ahead.
Kismet Studios.
No,
possibly.
we're not at the-
Hey, Fans of Philly.
Fans of Philly. Good Heart Firm.
Everything.
And just everybody
involved
who's
with City
dealing
Pigeons.
with
Kenwood Beer.
Kenwood.
Who?
My
gotta come
family,
back
I
in
don't
here.
know. What are we
Yeah,
doing?
Kenwood. Kenwood's
Yo,
just
End this
My
shit.
wife is here. What's up?
Kenwood's helping me
Dan's
out with a couple
wife.
kegs for a bachelor party next weekend. My
Okay.
guy.
Okay.
I
Wait.
love
all
them
right.
guys.
You get married?
No, not yet.
All right, not
was-
yet.
that
All
was-
right,
that was a
yeah.
joke.
Don't break the internet with that one. Don't break the internet.
No.
All right, listen. If you're still with us, we thank you, and
Get
you
me
know,
outta here.
do the typical stuff,
Yo,
the liking,
Kenwood Beers, Mike
subscribing,
Murphy's
what have
Irish
you,
Saloon in Mississippi.
and we appreciate it. We'll be back soon. We don't know what we're gonna do
Shout
next.
out Murphy Saloon.
But
It's
yeah,
a good time.
Murph, thanks for having
you,
us.
Murph. Thank you.
Everybody.
We're still rocking with the Eagles over here, fellas. Come on.
Yeah, I have it ready.
76.
Yo.
Says,
We're
go
not even
Phils.
talking about the Sixers.
Spring training. Let's go.
There we go. There's an extra shot up there, by the way.
We'll take half of it.
Split it into thirds.
There's an alcohol-free bar in Thailand now, so I've been like drinking like Manhattans again and stuff.
Yo, that's
What do they make a Manhattan? Because a Manhattan's like 90% bourbon.
Bourbon.
No, it's just there's like the